Hey everybody, it's Mike. Welcome. Thanks so much for joining us on today's episode of conventioNOT. Chris, Ryan, and I sit down, catch up. We do one of our in-house episodes. We've got a specific subject matter on this one though today, as Ryan and his wife completed a move recently back to their home state of Michigan. We're not really talking about the logistics of moving as much as what it's like to do that. What it's like to ever move states away, hours away, much less what that's like during a pandemic while you're transitioning to a new job. The list goes on, the complications go on, the emotions and the effects of that move. That's what we talk about. As usual, we're pretty vulnerable. I think we're funny once in a while. We're really honest though, above all else. I can't say enough to thank my co-host and great friend Ryan for opening up and sharing about such a personal experience. I think it's something that many of us experience, have experienced, or will experience in our lives. There's a lot of value in sharing what we get, what we go through, what we take from those experiences. That's what today's show's about. Hopefully you'll stick around. It's a moving episode on conventioNOT. Feeling dangerous.
Sheesh. Woke up feeling dangerous? You look dressed up.
Me or Skrilla?
You.
Well, I had to make up for being late.
Got the button down.
These are my Sunday finest. I just all kinds of big, grandiose plans for the day. I have to be properly attired.
This is Dallas Cowboys.
These are my plans for the day.
Cheers, Ryan. Right.
Salud. I got the
you can cheers me.
Glass of whiskey.
I got coffee. Coffee going. I mean, just because I'm a Lions fan doesn't mean I can't cheers on Sundays. I mean, come on.
So you're drinking coffee. Ryan, what are you drinking?
I'm drinking Weller bourbon. I've been having a little anxiety today, so, I rolled in hot to the interview, and I decided a little afternoon alcohol might be proper.
Okay.
Skrillo, what do you got in that little tumbler?
I've got a peach Chardonnay from the local winery.
I was going to say
very bougie.
No, I love it because I guess that's not a tumbler. What do they call those wine glasses without it? Like just a stemless wine glass?
Yeah, I think, but you could call this a tumbler. I think it's like a wine tumbler.
But if you're going to put wine in it, you can't call it a tumbler anymore. You have to call it a stemless wine glass, I think.
I mean, it was made. It's not a glass though. This isn't actually a glass.
It's plastic, right? Yeah. I got a couple of those too. They're golden, man. We take them to the beach. That's how I enjoy my spritzers out of a plastic.
I can't have stemmed ware at my house. I am too much of a bull in a china shop. So we have some fancy glasses. My in-laws love to buy us these fancy glasses for Christmas. It's like Orifors, some brand, but I never use them. I only use the plastic stemless wine glass or tumbler, whichever type of drink I'm putting in there.
I love that you two have like proper domiciles to where you're not going to get up and completely leave the room to your kitchen, but like I'm in my kitchen. So we got those too, dude. Like, I mean, my kitchen. I'm in my kitchen. My sink is 4 steps away. My bathroom is 5 steps away. My bedroom's about 3, and the door leading outside is about 7 steps. So it's a square foot. It's a quaint place.
How many steps to the beach though, Mike?
That's about 20, about 25. So yeah, I mean, I wasn't gonna say nothing.
I mean, that's a little flex right there.
Thanks, Ryan. I appreciate you asking me that. I don't just live in a cardboard box for no reason.
There's trade-offs.
It's certainly a well-located box.
Yes.
And Brian, you have a new background.
I got a new background. Yeah, I moved officially. I think a lot of our listeners know that I split time or was splitting time between Atlanta and Detroit or Ferndale, which is where I'm at. But earlier in the month, we made it official and We left Hotlanta just about the time it was about to be nice to come to the cold weather back in the hometown. So it's a familiar place. I've had this place for a long time, but yeah, you're right. The seafoam green background, I'm sure will be changing pretty quickly if my wife has anything to do with it.
All right. I like that. Now, how many times would you say you've moved in, I don't know, the past decade? I mean, I feel like I know the answer,
man.
but our listeners.
So I have moved like 6 times in the past decade, 6 or 7.
Which is a lot, for sure.
I moved from Georgia. I'm sorry, I moved from Detroit to Georgia for a job. Real quick pick, kind of like, 30 days and moved down there. Moved from outside of Atlanta to Buckhead, which is like the place where everybody has to live in Atlanta. Moved from Buckhead to East Atlanta.
What do you mean? It's just like a suburb outside of Atlanta or something more affordable? Like, why do you say everybody lives there?
Buckhead's actually inside of Atlanta, but it's its own. The way that Georgia works is they vote out their own little entities inside of the city of Atlanta. And so Buckhead is like where the $1 million homes are. So yeah, that's 3. Then I moved over to Spillage Village, East Atlanta Village, which is 4.
It's a great album. Great album.
Great album. Shout out Earth Gang. I've been telling y'all. I've been telling everybody about Earth Gang. They're kids, but
Spilligin's on some new shit, though, dude.
Yeah, I was disappointed in JID, as I shared with y'all, but we can get into that because I'm making this analogy about moving. Then I moved one more time into Little 5 Points, which is my favorite neighborhood in America. That's where I moved there. And then I moved from there back to Detroit.
So was that 6?
That's 6. Oh, that's the 6th time. I think just before we clicked on the recording, Skrill and I were talking about that just a little bit, and I think he was shocked that it had been 6 times. It was actually 8 years, not 10.
Of those
6 times in 8 years.
Of those 6, technically 2 of them are across state borders, right? You moved like 4 times within the state of Georgia, within a couple years span. But these big moves on the start and at the end have taken you. I mean, I don't even know that distance. What is it?
It's about 12 hours, give or take. I'm not sure how many miles it is. Yeah, somewhere around there, 1,000 miles.
All right. That's a good move, man. And like, so just so, people can appreciate this, we're going to delve into this a little bit today because, Ryan just bounced off 6 moves in his life. And I don't know that it's as much of a given for everyone that like this many moves are just like, it's been necessary for Ryan, work wise. But these moves are like, they're, I'm not going to say traumatic. That seems a little bit, I'm not going to put words into Ryan's mouth, but I will share a couple of my moves too. Because they have been kind of borderline traumatic. You're always looking forward. Well, usually you're looking forward to what you're moving to. Sometimes people are moving from something. Fortunately, I've never been in that situation, but
yeah,
then you forget about the move itself, though, because the move itself is not a point in time. It's a prolonged process, and it's not just a physical strain, but it's a mental strain too. And forgive me there, but Ryan, y'all can't see Ryan, but he's on the other side of the move now. So it's really wonderful to have Ryan back because we missed him for a bit there. He was really busy and, occupied with the move and the rest of life, right?
It's a big deal. It's cross country. I think you have you moved across international borders and then out to a big island. So I know that you identify with it a little bit, but it's been most of the summer, really. We were lucky to have this place and access to this place, this house that's in Detroit. So we had a couple trips ahead of time, but I would say that the last month or so has been pretty hellacious. Not because some trauma happened, just that it is traumatic, right? When you talk about like uprooting yourself from one spot. And of course there's the weather thing, which all Midwesterners lead with the weather, right? But the weather thing is actually not as big of a deal. That's more like small talk. It's the other parts of it that are they're a struggle. I mean, I'm fortunate. I think Anna and I'd be curious. Maybe I should have her pop down here. She's actually unpacking boxes right now upstairs. But we do pretty well through the move. I mean, I know it's stressful for a lot of couples, and like there's always these horror stories of big blowout fights and anything. I'm happy to say I don't think we had one disagreement really this time through. I can remember some of the other times though. Some of those other 5 of the 6.
Sure. I was going to say, where does this move rank? Like, which one was the worst and what was the best?
I think the worst. I think the one down there was the worst.
I mean, technically, kind of number one big move as a couple. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, but that
number one.
Chronologically, that was also your. I mean, with experience, you've gotten better at it, right? I mean, I guess some of it is that.
I think in that first one too, I didn't understand as much about myself and my own anxiety, and it's no strange story to our listeners, but I suffer from panic attacks, and it was just a different type of move then. Now, at that point in time, there was this like professional light that, I had a great job. I've been fortunate in my career, but it was a game changer in my career. And then those following 6 years were almost like a PhD in business, right? Like start and sell my second company, get into all those things. But the move portion of it was incredibly stressful. We also moved to what we refer to commonly in my household as Suburgatory, which is Lawrenceville, Georgia. It's about 35 minutes outside of Atlanta. And that was tough, man. That was really tough. We lived in a subdivision in like a big house with all the neighbor accoutrements of schools and tennis courts and all that kind of stuff. And really, I mean,
HOA, all of it, everything, everything we're all dreaming of. Not
drama
really,
at the pool, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And so that was tough. That was really hard. I think that was particularly hard on Anna too. Shout out to what she went through. She had a young business at that point in time, and she was really isolated, man. I mean, I got on a plane when I went to Georgia. I got on a plane for basically the next 2 years. I would travel. Yeah. And so that was really tough to answer. I think it was you, Mike, who asked which one was the worst. That one was for sure the worst. Yeah.
Well, the hindsight of it. Well, that's what I was getting at is like the hindsight of it. It's a lot easier to like poke apart what the challenges were and this and that. But you mentioned something there that I thought was really like incredible, because I feel like it's somewhat full circle in that at that time, move number 1, 8 years ago, a younger version of Ryan. Mind you, we're not talking about just a just out of school Ryan. This Ryan had a house, he had a life, he had some professional successes. You know what I mean? So it wasn't just packing up the car and moving down to Georgia that first time. But you said something specifically that the job was the light. And like, I feel like when you're moving, it's easy to have that light. Like if you have that light, all the other stuff seems to just be like, it doesn't matter. This is just part of the move. But that light, like in that first instance, was a job, right? And all the other stress, and you didn't even really care that much about where you were moving to, right? It was just the job was going to be awesome. I mean, did you know anything about Georgia when you first moved down there?
Yeah, we selected Atlanta because it was Atlanta, because of its culture, specifically because of hip hop music. So that sounds kind of crazy, right? I mean, that we had both been there many times. I had some parallel job offers. One was in Houston and one was in Atlanta. And yes, both of those roles were really cool opportunities. But Atlanta as a city, we had spent a lot of time going to for conferences. Another good college friend of ours, Solomon Kim, DJ Jackmaster Solomon.
Between Marvin and Solomon being down there, like I forget how many people you have in that area.
And even though that they're nationwide, and I'm trying to put myself back in that point in time, right? A lot has transpired since then. But even though it was moving across the country, because it's I-75, you know, for our non-east side of the country listeners, I mean, I-75, yeah, like I-75 runs from the end of Florida to the tip of Michigan, right? And so it runs through Atlanta and it runs through Detroit. So that was a big part of it. In the music, in the culture, was the other big part of it. So we moved there, but we didn't get any of that because we basically,
you moved to the wrong
Atlanta.
spot. Yeah.
No. It's not Atlanta, you know. And that was tough, man. That was tough.
This is not what Outkast was talking about. Where's that neighborhood? That's what I'm
right. So we would start to drive down to Atlanta, it's 45 minutes away, and start to go to those neighborhoods, which part of my love will always be for the city is the accessibility to those places.
Yeah, for sure.
And also the culture in Atlanta is so accepting of most everything except for intolerance. So that's just a big part of my life. We've talked about that through some of the negative aspects of it, you know, recent actions and all this crazy stuff that's going on in the world in 2020. But when we were in 2012 heading down there, that's why we wanted to go, right?
Yeah.
You know, all of the Martin Luther King perspective, understanding, you know, John Lewis, rest in peace, passed away this summer. Huge leader that I study. And so that was a big part of us moving there. I guess there's probably not a lot of white dudes who say that, but that's it, man. You know.
How long were you in Suburgatory?
We were there for like about a year.
And you technically, you slept there probably half of the nights. Like for how bad it was, you didn't really have to experience it, right? It was just a bed, and you got to see your wife when you were there. But she had to live there. Like
she had to live there. Yeah.
Yeah, that sucks. You gotta know the right neighborhood when you move. That big of a move, like, and that's what I'm kind of getting at is no matter what, you'll never be an expert at moving. You know, there's always going to be that light, and I'm saying it in a negative way because that light actually distracts you from all the other actual fundamental things you need to make yourself happy. You're like, well, no, I got the job there. I'll be fine financially. You know, everything else will work out. And then you get there and you're like, oh shit, all that stuff I left behind that was either stressing me out or whatever, you know, like that's when you appreciate the comforts in your life. You just move a block away and you will realize how comfortable you were in that prior location. And like, just depending on your personality, those comforts, like some people thrive on those comforts and you remove those from people and it can be, that's why I keep mentioning the word traumatic, because like some people make one move and then they're just like, and then they move back home. You know, it's, you moved out of your parents, Skrilla. We all moved out of our parents' house. We all went away to college, right? How far away is Kent State, Chris?
About 45 minutes. So not too far.
Really similar, like Ryan and I, East Lansing, Michigan State was about, Ryan, how far from Monroe? Hour and a half?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
So like that first move away from your folks' house, like, it wasn't a real move. You know, it was many blocks away, but you could still access all those resources, you know, all those comforts that you grew up with. Albeit, you know, you were far enough away to where you could make all your own mistakes and things like that. But that next move after that one was a much bigger one. Skrilla, where did you go right after Kent State?
After Kent State, I came back to Cleveland Heights. Yeah. So found an apartment and just moved right back home, basically.
But that was like you moved back home, but like to your own crib. So the comforts, but totally new, like very new. You had to reform those comforts,
talking about comforts, one of the comforts that I have is just like getting a haircut every week. Because grooming is very important to me. You have a relationship. It's almost like a relationship. I mean, not a relationship, a marriage with your barber. You know? And I'm curious, Ryan, like, what did you do when you moved down there? How did you find a barber?
So, oh man, it's funny you mentioned that. This is one of my most difficult things is finding a barber. So I'm on like a 3-week schedule. I am very religious about hair grooming, so on and so forth.
As you should.
And as I should, right? I know we got a future episode coming up about some of the things that, like, as a grown ass male, not to be gender specific, that you should be. And one of them is attentive to your hair grooming. So long and the short of it is, this is where I started to learn, just to be quite frank with you. It's kind of funny you brought that up because we didn't really rehearse any of this, but that was where I started to learn about the South, because I don't know. I would say, like, most of my life, I have gone to a barber shop for white dude's hair that functions like a black dude's barbershop. Okay. And I'm not trying to predispose. This is not some kind of race conversation. This is just like, for those who know, you click back into some of our other episodes, but like, you know, so for me, I enjoy the network and the conversation, and I'm not so poignant about having to be able to have like an appointment, right? But what I found down south is, number one, for that type of barbershop, at least where I was, especially where I was, it was more of a like, I mean, it was just like, I don't know how to say this, man. Like I experienced some race things, like commentary type, like southern shit, which is very evident and very live. But the other thing that I always had such a hard time with is that, like, I usually like a dude to cut my hair, right? And so for most cases throughout my life, it's been, I think, honestly, like a gay dude, for most cases. Like, not just because I like seek out some gay guy to cut my hair or anything, but like that seems to work how I work, right? And so I bet I went through 10 barbershops before I found this place in Atlanta that I was at for about 5 years. Through all of those houses is a place called the Trophy Room. Rolando, the owner of the Trophy Room, has agreed to come on the show. We'll get him on here someday. But yeah, it's tough, man. And you know what? I'm in the same dang situation again, Chris.
Now,
I don't know where to go.
Do you have, like, because I mean, our viewers can't see your hair, but do you have a white barber, black barber, Hispanic barber? Like, what is the makeup, the demographic of some of the shops you've been at?
It's usually one of those three things: a white gay dude, some sort of Hispanic male, or a black male. That's like just been what it is.
Around, like, you've been around. You've tried to look at everybody.
Well, I'm real loyal to it too, right? So like even like this, when COVID came through, I helped support some of the barbers at my place, like the guys that didn't even cut my hair, just because, like, it's a big important relationship for me.
The last
always has been.
The last person that cut your hair, black or white or Hispanic?
That's Rolando, Trophy Room, Hispanic dude.
Yeah, I can tell, man. Yeah.
Okay, attention, PSA alert. Thank you. No, really, thank you. We are so excited to continue to deliver great content to you, the listener, but we can't do it without you. So, on behalf of Mike, Ryan, and myself, we just want to give props where props is due. You, the listener. Thanks for rocking with conventioNOT. And if you can, don't forget to rate us on those podcast apps, all right? 5 stars is, you know, that's a good start, right? Whatever, we just really appreciate you. Thanks.
See, the giggling person in this conversation has been the bald guy. Because it's not as though, if you ask these two, all I'm ever doing is saying how good they look. And like, damn, did you get your hair done today? Like, I'm constantly impressed by the level of grooming. But that's a real upkeep. You know, your neighbor with the really beautiful lawn, that's why he's out there mowing it like every 3 days. Skrilla, I know you don't go 3 weeks between seeing your barber.
Hell no. Listen, y'all.
You're every week, right?
not only am I every week, sometimes I'm 2 times a week. So Thursday is usually my like standing appointment. But sometimes like Monday comes around, I just want a nice little fresh, little crispiness at the beginning of the week. So I know it's a lot of money. I get it, but it's really what the haircut provides me, man. It's just like confidence booster. I feel good. So that's self-care to me. Like for me, that is a form of self-care.
You know how there's kind of like things that you pay for that include a network relationship? Like it makes you feel proud because you're not only supporting, of course, somebody's income, but there's also like an expectation there. I think a lot of people get that from like a country club, or I just recently joined the Elks, which I didn't tell either of you guys. That's another thing like that. But like, I think for me, that's how that barber relationship is. It's a network. Like I understand I'm spending money there, but like I'm looking forward just to go back there to hang out for a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. The barber serves as not just a hairstylist, but also like a therapist at times, a friend. I mean, you get all that when you're at the shop. So,
yeah, I've left barbers because they don't remember details about me. Most recently, somebody who was outside of that demographic of 3 that we talked about, is a white girl, white Georgian UGA fan, like through and through. So you love her, Chris.
Yeah.
She loves them Bulldogs.
Go Dogs.
Although Georgia's the Michigan of the South. I'm surprised to hear that you are a Georgia fan. That's maybe a little bit later in the episode. But anyway, I left her. Little jab. I left her because she didn't remember anything about me, right? And so I'm not like pompous, but when I have a week after week conversation, I can't do that. Like I want that therapy advice, and I want that outside. It's really almost like objective, right? Because the barber generally doesn't know you very well. I've seen Rolando a couple times, my most recent guy, out in public, and like we might hang out or have a drink together if we see each other, but we don't really like know each other's friends. And so it's hard to get an objective opinion like that from somebody who knows you well enough to give you advice, but doesn't know all your people.
Yeah. No, all right. So I can chime in a little bit here. Just, I haven't always been bald. And when I lived in Toronto, Ryan, you remember the neighborhood I lived in, Cabbagetown. So Cabbagetown is well, I'm not going to get into that, but Cabbagetown is a very distinct neighborhood in Toronto. It's very, very, immigrant based, in a very tight community. Just an amazing part of the city. I can't say enough good things about Toronto, but when I lived in Toronto, not only did I have a regular barber, but I had like the neighborhood barber shop. And I don't know if like Rolando is like around the corner from you, but for me, I appreciate and understand everything you're saying because I have had those relationships in the past. Frankie and Jimmy. So there's more than those 3 options. All right. Like at least in Toronto. So this is a Cabbagetown barbershop, and I'll find a picture and everything for you guys. But like this was Italian owned and operated. So I don't really know why they were so nice to me, but like the customers was everything. But the employees were hardcore, like first generation Italian dudes. And by the 3rd time I went in there, I realized like, just sit down and shut up. Like eventually you'll get, writing your name on the sheet. That doesn't mean shit because if Bobby walks in, Bobby's going in front of you. You know what I mean? Like, and there all these like unspoken courtesies. But as the years went by, I got to be one of the guys. You know what I mean? And like, you better believe when I went over to Italy, when I came back, like I was in like Calabria, like southern Italy. And when I came back and I told those guys, it was like, and I mean, they were checking all the boxes, dude. Like one of their one of their nephews was in the NHL. So his jersey's on the wall. Like these dudes, it was just, you got so much more than a haircut there, and like, I know I probably could have just said that a little bit more concisely, but just seeing those guys, like I went back there 3 years after moving. I swung by there 3 years after moving. And one of them, basically both of them had moved on from being there full time. And one of the ladies that used to cut hair there too was now kind of managing it and 100%. And I didn't like go in and give it the full, but it was it brought back so many just amazing memories of like those guys just giving me shit and ribbing me and like being straight with me about like, all right, man, how many more times are we gonna do this haircut? We're about to have the conversation soon enough. Like they would be straight, like, Mike, it's getting thin up here. Like you're paying us for, we're not doing much anymore. I'm like, shut up, guys. I'm not here for that. I'm not here for that. I miss the barber shop. I do miss the barber shop. It's just like a form of bonding. And not to get like corny, but like, yeah, when you lose all your hair, why are you still going back to the barber shop? But I guarantee in every barber shop, there's a bald guy because it's just good to be around. It's just good to be around.
Tons. Yeah.
Not only bald guys, but people who are just like hanging on. When we say like, yo, it's time to come home, bro.
Yeah.
They're just hanging on to it. But look, we got a lot of guys in my barber shop. They're bald, but they have great beards like you.
Yeah.
Get that boy trimmed up, crispy.
I mean, LeBron's still going to the barbershop, right? I think that's where they put the spray paint stuff on.
Here we go.
I feel bad for LeBron, man.
You don't even watch, and you picked up on this.
I'm not going to tolerate this Bron slander. So moving on.
No, I didn't mean to be slanderous to the dude. That's not my intent. No.
So like a barbershop, that's definitely one of those comforts that we talked about. But what are some others? I mean, I would imagine like doctor, dentist, or even a mechanic, right?
A butcher for Ryan.
That's the one I was going to say.
A butcher, bro.
Chris,
Chris, Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tell him,
well,
Ryan.
let's get specific. So, like for our Michigan listeners, I'm going to give some shout outs to some places. Well, I shared with you guys yesterday that I was butchering chickens. Those were privately grown by a friend of mine. So one of the things that's an advantage for me.
I've told y'all, Ryan's a farm boy. Like, you see how he just let that roll off his tongue? Yeah, yesterday I butchered 8 chickens.
I'm shocked.
Moving on. We're going to revisit that again, Ryan, but tell the story you wanted to.
We should. I got some things to say about that to every household that you could butcher chickens. But anyway, so a butcher, or let me say maybe a market is more where I'm at. And so a lot of people probably pick this up about me. I don't eat food chemicals at all. And I'm pretty sensitive about that. And I also am pretty sensitive about the economic impact of what I buy. So for me, number one, with a market is finding a place that has a meat counter. So there are a few places around here. Same in Atlanta. Spotted Trotter was my place there. Here it's a place called Western Market, and they have a butcher. I mean, that's just like that. That's almost as important to me as the barber. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. And they're going to be making, if you want to know what to me are some of the qualifiers for the butcher, they're going to be providing like fresh cuts of meat, multiple different cuts that are farm labeled. So I kind of like to know, is this cow, I'm not too crazy about it, but I do like to know that like this cow is from 50 miles away, or this burger blend is another thing that I look for at a good barber. I like a good burger blend. I know I'm getting a little long in the tooth, but like
no, I'm just gonna make fun of you.
So do you just walk into the butcher and to say, I want to speak to the head butcher, and then you just have like a list of questions ready?
If I'm lucky, I get to speak to the head butcher.
Eventually, no. He's bullshitting. It's just like a barber, bro. Ryan rolls into a new butcher shop, says some shit like that. They're going to go, who the fuck just thinks he is? Who's this guy? Because the butcher's in the back doing the business. So I'm gonna tease Ryan, as I often do.
It takes some months to know the butcher.
Ryan is not. He's not a snob. I know many of you are out there thinking, what the hell is he talking about? The farm that Ryan has he's built himself towards this. All right, don't get me wrong. I could serve Ryan some bullshit steak and he'll eat it because he's a gentleman and he's considerate. He's talking about, if given the option, this is how he lives his life. He's very, very thoughtful. He wants to know his butcher's name. More importantly, he wants his butcher to know his name. And he wants him to know about the food he's sharing with him, which is not a crazy thing. It's when Ryan says it, it's really easy for me to sit here and make fun of him. But like, I know where he's coming from in that what I really want is my butcher to kind of know me. I want him to know the me, but all he's got to do is get to know me a little bit, and he's going to know, like, all right, this is a little bit more of a conscientious customer, you know, and I'm not here to buy food for 40 people. I'm here to buy food for my wife and I, you know, so I don't mind spending
That's another thing
bit,
about it too.
You know, like,
sure.
I don't mind spending a little bit more money. And dude, St. Jamestown Delicatessen in Cabbagetown, I miss my bartenders, but man, do I miss my butcher. Like, I knew my butcher first, last name basis. Chris, before I left Cabbagetown, the one thing I didn't do, I had like plans to go and like not properly apprentice, but I was gonna go in on my mornings and learn how to butcher pigs with this guy because I had such a desire. Yeah, dude, like and you see me now I get to cut up
face is priceless.
I get to cut up like 400 pound fish. And literally the guys are just like, are you having fun? I'm like, dude, I could do this all day. Like, this is so interesting to me. And so.
Yo, I hope you're enjoying the show. Now look, we got a special deal for y'all. Link before you sink. Yeah, you know the episode. Jenna, she makes those awesome bicycle jewelry chains and bracelets. Well, she's got a special deal going on. 35% off, and that's just for our conventioNOT listeners. Use the discount code conventioNOT35 at linkbeforeyousink.com and get some dope jewelry. Tell her Skrilla sent you. Peace.
Well, no, I want to hear another one of Chris's comforts because Ryan, you got two. Chris, okay, I could guess one of your other ones,
guess one. Come on.
I was going to say the gym.
That's what I was going to say. Absolutely, the gym. And that was kind of a question I had for Ryan because I know you're really big into basketball. And when I used to play basketball back in the day, I mean, there were like certain courts in the neighborhood that, you know, you knew the level of play was either really high or, you know, not so great. So yeah, a gym for me is like super important. I tend to like smaller gyms that have like a little bit more of a local feel if I can help it. But, you know, I have to usually go to one of these big franchises and stuff like that.
Gotcha.
You go to like LA Fitness. What, if you don't mind me asking, what gym you go to now?
So I used to go to LA Fitness, then I went to Planet Fitness, stopped that. Now I'm at Case Western Reserve. So they have a one-to-one fitness. Equipment is like a little bit dated, but I like it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not a whole lot of meatheads and stuff like that. Shout out to the meatheads, but not for me.
Well, the gym is a very delicate space to where you leave it and you didn't realize how comfortable. I mean, it's the opposite of comfort, right? But like, it's just familiarity. You move to a new town, like going into a new gym is like being that new kid in class all over again. I don't care. I don't care what you're going there for. I mean,
everything.
I know I experienced that. Yeah, like all eyeballs are on you. You're the new, and so that's a very Ryan. And you're not a big like. I know you spend a lot of time doing yoga, and you spend a lot of time doing like your own type of kind of personalized workout. I'm not coming up with the right phrase, but are you still like going to a weight room based gym nowadays?
I don't anymore. I talked about some of those move things. The place where I talked about most recently, where I came from in Little 5 Points, had a phenomenal gym and a bunch of hipster neighbors who didn't use the gym except for me.
In the condo or like in the building. Gotcha.
And so a lot of it for me is like some workout partner component. So I will go to a gym and even join a gym to be able to have a workout partner. But I'm pretty home oriented now. A lot of that has to do, man, it's almost hard to remember. This year's been so fast, but so slow at the same time. It's almost hard to remember pre-COVID workouts. Yeah. I like to go and like kill myself. So if I'm going to a gym, there's some like more checkbox type things. So it's going to have like some plyometrics type things. I like a gym that has a sled with a little bit of AstroTurf that could be pushed on, like more of those like active type training things. I don't, I hear a lot of people lately talking poorly about Planet Fitness. I'm going to just pick on that one. Cause you said you left there, but like that type of gym to me it's just not part of my workout anymore. So for me to pay $30 or $50 when I'm just looking right now, I got like 5 kettlebells that at home already. I'm probably just a little bit more there. Now a yoga studio is different though.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yoga studio is different. That's actually something that's on my list for this week, especially now that Anna's not teaching yoga. I used to have free yoga. Unfortunately, her yoga studio closed just as we were leaving Atlanta.
Oh, really?
But yeah, it's too bad. Shout out Westside Yoga. It's no longer.
R.I.P.
They
baby.
bought. Yeah. It's tough. I have quite a few friends that have lost gyms in this Corona, so we'll pour out a little for them. But
yeah, I need some more.
Pour out a little smart water for the lost homies.
Pour out a little coffee.
Seltzer.
Yeah.
I think that's where all the seltzer's getting drank. Is that
What?
sorry to totally
I drink seltzer.
screw things up, but do you drink a bunch of it? Like, is that much seltzer being consumed?
Yeah.
Skrilla, you drink seltzer too, huh?
Oh, I love me some carbonated water, baby.
I do.
No, like I'm talking like Bud Light seltzer. Like,
Oh,
who
hell
drinks-
no.
That's what
I mean, I'll drink a White
drinking
Claw,
all of it.
but I don't
White
drink a lot
Claw's
of
what
it.
I drink too.
Yeah, I'll drink a White Claw for sure, but I don't like buy it.
But like
I do.
PBR makes a seltzer, bro.
I don't judge.
I had one yesterday at the Elks Lodge. I had a coffee PBR for my inauguration.
Should have one now.
I told you all about that coffee PBR, didn't I?
Yeah, you did, and I finally got one. I had my eye out for them, and they have them there, and so I had one.
It
like
wasn't the
9 a.m.,
grossest thing you've ever drank, was it?
It was not at all. It tastes like a Monster.
Yeah.
Now, two
With
things.
alcohol in it.
I don't want to forget what you were saying about the yoga studio. So, like, similar to the butcher shop, like, what are you looking for? Like, what's going to be comforting for you in a yoga studio?
For me, it's not too touchy-feely yoga. So, I'm not like, I am a meditator. I'm like spiritual personally, but I'm looking for a yoga studio that will basically kick my ass. They call it power yoga in a lot of ways. Some nice looking ladies is nice, right? Like not the old school style, old people yoga studio. Not that I'm out in any yoga studio hawking women. That's not what I do. But like, I'd rather have a little bit more like younger kind of vibe, so to speak.
Yeah.
And then they have to have early classes because I like to go early.
Like, what's early? We need to define that.
5 or 6.
That's early. Okay.
You're crazy.
Yeah.
Dude. You're crazy.
What about the basketball court though? Because I'm really curious about this. Like, I know you're a better basketball player than me for sure, but like, what are you looking for? Like, you go to a court, like, what's up?
So he's closer to the rim, bro. There's an advantage there. He's a little bit closer.
So for basketball at this point, and despite my resistance to being a super fan, I do like to play a lot for like NBA sports and stuff. I do play a lot of basketball, and I like to run. So I have to play with the old guys. What I look for are older athletes.
They hustle.
Because they hustle, and it's less likely that you would get hurt. I've throughout my time a lot. It's easy to get hurt.
hit you with that old man strength, which is a real thing.
You get knocked down by some old men, but you're not going to blow your ankles out.
Right.
They're not right.
I can pick my ass up off the floor, but don't be like crossing over on me. Because then I'm just going to, the next time down the court, I've talked about when I joined the Filipino men's league around here, right?
Yeah.
Oh, bro. Skrilla, I think this may have been before you hosted with us, but basically they recruited me so I would be the biggest dude out there. Like, I'm not that big. I'm only 6'2". But when I'm playing center, everyone's running circles around me, dude. Like, circles around me, like, timeout, I got to run outside the gym, throw up, and then maybe I'll come back in. Like, I'm not lying. Oh, I
really?
vomited.
See, I like to run.
Oh, yeah.
I like to run. So at this point in time, like I score points and I rebound and all that stuff, but like I really, really like to run. That's what my favorite thing about basketball.
I like to run like 5 times. And then I don't want to run anymore. If I'm gonna get the basket or block somebody at the other end, I'll run my ass off. But that's what I do. That's why I run myself, and then I'm like, oh shit, I gotta go throw up because it's me playing against a bunch of like 19-year-olds that are just
can't do that.
I'm gonna break this old man.
And they step
down
on your ankles and stuff, man. I can't. I have to play with some people who have played at college level or greater for the most part.
Look at you. Got the bougie ball over here. I like how you threw in, I score points. I get the rebounds and steals, but I like to run. Like, damn. Dude, I'm happy if I can just get a bucket.
Yeah.
I like to run. I'd be happy if I scored one bucket in a game to 11 and ran up and down the court 100 times.
But you know what?
Really is my thing.
The most rewarding thing is if you get a block. Now, I can play some defense. Now, if I get a nice block to stuff somebody, that's all I need, baby. All I need.
I'd prefer they just don't even pass me the ball on offense. If I could just stay on one end of the court, dude, that's my comfort.
Like, I'm just here for the deep.
Because I literally do. I'm just there to just knock people around. Like literally at every game, someone's like, that dude's a problem. Like not talent wise, but like he's not playing by the rules. I'm just like, what? I thought
you're that guy that hits me. You step on my ankles and then I'm broken.
That's not good.
I'm not going to play dirty. I'm not going to play dirty. I just play rough. Like I grew up watching the Bad Boys, bro. Like I grew up the other day. Yeah. I hollered at Skrilla and I was like, man, the Lakers need to, what did I say? The Lakers need to put Tyler Hero on his ass. And Skrilla gets back to me. He's like, well, I don't know if they need to like be physical with him. Maybe they just D him up. And I was just like, man, why are you making me feel violent, Skrilla?
What you said was they need to tear his head off. Okay.
Okay, I might have phrased it that way.
And I said, hey, maybe they just put him on his ass a little bit, all right?
Said easy, Rick Mahorn.
Yeah, jeez. Bill Lambier over here.
When you guys come to the D, if you want to go run a little bit, we can go run. I play at the Boys and Girls Club as one of the spots with the old dudes. 9 a.m. on Saturday morning.
That is not on my list of stuff to do in Detroit. Yeah, I'm going to go to a gym and get circles ran around me, bro. There better be a sauna there.
You just need to open them lungs up.
I will come out of retirement for you, McD. Yep. I will.
I did get myself a new pair of Jordan 11 Concords.
Got some 11s.
Games.
I saw those, dude. That's why you want to play. That's why you want to play basketball. You just want an excuse to wear those Concords.
A whole new reason to buy some new J's, right?
Do you dunk like in a game? Like, can you dunk?
I could probably still dunk a volleyball.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, but not about it. No, I can't.
Nowadays, I can't. Yeah, I used to be able to get a basketball down, but not like easily in a game or anything. But I used to be able to dunk.
I have dunked a basketball.
You have?
I cannot do it anymore. But one summer in Kent, I literally just trained on trying to dunk a basketball, and I got it one time.
That's great.
That's absurd, dude. Because I'm 6'2". I'm 6'2", and if I were 6'1", I probably never could have dunked a basketball. So from 5'8", you win. You win big time.
One time.
Usually, it depends on the kids I'm coaching. So, like, as of now, I'm 40, so I don't play as actively because I coach. But if the kids I'm coaching are active, then I can work it back, and I'll work back to dunking. Like if they're encouraging me a little bit, but it's more like maybe dunking a kid's ball or dunking a volleyball.
Yeah, that makes sense.
If I can kind of go back to the move a little bit, Ryan, because you started out, and I promised we'd go full circle with it, but you're very clear that leaving Michigan was a business-based move, right? It was a professional decision, and you were open about why you chose Atlanta, but your main motivation was to follow work. And I'm curious to hear if you don't mind, if you can be a little bit open about this move. Was it equally a professional decision? Was it work based, and like the levity of that being your light? Whatever it was.
You know what? That's a really good question. It is work based, right? Two people like Anna and I, a lot of what we're doing at this point is work based. We've got some early retirement goals, which I won't get too far into, but ultimately we came back because it was the reverse. At the point in time when we went down there, I had an opportunity that was a great opportunity, and we came back primarily because she had an opportunity. So her opportunity is north of the city. She's working with an architecture firm, and it's a really, really cool opportunity. But just require that she would be in the office. And so, it's for jobs. It's also for family. One of the things that is so hard, and I would say we'd come back home to Metro Detroit. I mean, we split time, to be honest with you. I bet in 2020, I've been here 3 or 4 months already, which is fun. And I have this goal to be back to a snowbird sometime in the next little while, where I bounce in between places. But the thing that I miss most is the family hangouts. So for example, last night we went over to, actually saw both of the families. I saw my parents and I saw Anna's parents last night. And, we often would come for like Father's Day, or of course, the Christmas holidays, all that kind of stuff.
The main events. Yeah.
The main events, but I can already tell, I think we're just about 10 days back, and I can already tell just the relaxed part of being able to be around my parents, right? They're mid-60s.
It's a lot different when you're like back and you're not just back for the weekend, right? Like those interactions change almost immediately.
Right. Nieces and nephews are getting older. Friends, even friends like you, Chris, being a couple hours away with Major. We have Anna has some very close friends that are also in the Cleveland area.
Yeah, y'all got to come babysit.
Yeah, with Caitlin and Dave. And so, as we get older, and we're pretty, this is a personal thing, I won't get too far into it, but we're pretty committed to non-children. So, I see those kids as they grow and they go from like age 3 to age 5. Those are my nieces and nephews, like for real, to me, the way, and I had some people in my life that worked that way. But ultimately, that is all of it. It's a family move, great opportunity for her. We also, and I guess we should mention, we work together. Anna and I work together, right? I moved down there and we had business in the same industry and had worked in the same industry when we worked down there. And then we sold that company to an asshole. And when we did that kind of cemented the idea.
It's all right. His check cleared. His check cleared already. It's fine.
Yeah, he didn't even pay all of his checks. I'll throw that out there. I won't put his home address out, but he didn't even pay all of his checks. So to any regard, part of the decision to come back is because we needed to split industries. And so my job, which I touch on
no longer in the same industries, right? Yeah.
Yeah, she's in architecture and I'm still in, durable medical equipment and healthcare. And I can work from anywhere, right? Like I go to the airport and I go to my home office. So,
and that's, if you don't mind me kind of, I hope I'm not cutting you off at all, but that's an incredibly significant thing that you're minimizing. But the reality is, and if I can paraphrase, you moved your family once because of your job. And, obviously Anna had some opportunities down there as well, but you were the primary motivation for the first move. And the second move is a little bit more your wife's position. And I may be projecting there because that's what I've been through. Like that's when we moved to Toronto, Mike had that job opportunity, that was pretty unique. My field is not in every, city, county, and state. So we moved to Toronto 100% for my job. But, Nicole, probably very much like Anna, was excited to move to a more metropolitan, a more culturally diverse area. So, and we were young. There was a big part of like just being naive to the reality that we were moving to a new country. Even though it was only 4 hours away from our parents and loved ones, it was a new country. But then 8 years later, when we moved to Hawaii, as hard as it is to believe, we did move here for work. Nicole had a job opportunity here that was not available to her in Toronto. And there's there's an extra levity when that move is a little bit, I don't want to say one-sided at all, because that makes things trickier. But I know for Nicole and I, it definitely, there was times when at the start of that move, some of those bumps, right? And that can lead to some real challenges in a relationship, because, there can be times when you're in a very different situation, and you're in a different situation because one of you kind of said, hey, we need to change some things, So when you hit that bump in the road, it's always really important to remember, like, hey, yeah, we maybe made this move initially because you spurned it on, but like we both agreed to do this together, and we're both in it together now, and like there's no going back. I mean, I don't know how it is for you guys, but I know when we left Toronto, it was like, it's not in the sense of like we burned bridges, but when we moved to Hawaii, it was just like, this has to work. This has to work. And if we had any sort of alternative plan or like a fallout, we would have taken it, because there were a lot of bumps in the road after that move. You know what I mean? Like, it's just a natural part of moving. I don't care how much your job is going to set you up. You know what I mean? Like, how much you maybe know some people in that area. You're going to go through like everything when you go through a move. It's just inevitable.
Well, I know we're kind of getting to the end here, but I think one thing that we didn't get into, and maybe we'll talk about this on an additional episode, but leaving friends is really hard. We talked about some of the bright things about coming to a new place, but the reality is, well, I'm very fortunate because a lot of my friends travel and we work nationally. So the movement in between the two cities of Atlanta and Detroit are relatively easy, but very much so. And a lot of the guests that have been on the show are people that I consider my family. Very much so through and through, and have been family for me in times when I didn't have family close.
Yep.
Have invited us to Thanksgiving dinner. Have had those times, and so I'm really terrified of that. Just to be honest with you, there's that close nucleus of friends that I'm sure will stick with me. Shout out Jay Cornelius and Susan Tomasi, and those types of people, but. Also, there's those other like incidental friends that you make, like those barbers, right? Like that is a good example of those things that you place so much into, and then you gotta depart. So I'll be thinking about those people continuously, and I'd be lying if I said like I thought that all those relationships were going to stick around.
You're not.
But it's a complete cutoff. It is a complete cutoff, like what you said, Mike. It's a commitment that says, like, if it ain't packed into the truck when we leave, like it's gone, including all my condiments, which I left there. Left all the condiments in the fridge, man. Left them there.
Hey, at least you could put it in your truck. You did a pretty good job moving, man.
Yeah,
you did I put a bunch of stuff in boxes, and then when it got here, I was like, I don't need this shit. Why would this have been the stuff that I prioritized?
Mm-hmm.
We had a storage.
I packed up and she unpacked.
Facility in Detroit for like a half a year, and I was just like, man, I'm spending a lot of money on that stuff. So, yeah, the move is ongoing. We'll have to revisit the topic in a few weeks here, and in a month or two here. But I'm really glad to see the light. And don't take this in the wrong way, brother, but I'm really glad to see the light back in your eyes. Because I know that it was a little dim there
for a month or so.
It wasn't gone. It was fully dedicated to the situation you were in, and that situation is moving your life, which is all consuming. Very much.
That glow.
Well, hopefully that'll turn into a big show improvement for the fall. I know we got a lot of big things coming. We got to jump here now. I got some more boxes to unpack, but I do think that. I hope it will be. The light is back. It's tough when you're somebody who functions so much on that light, and it's no secret I place so much on my own energy and the energy of the people around me. And there was a few weeks there where I wasn't able to like put that energy back into it. So I'm definitely back. That's for sure. That is for sure. So.
Well, thank you, Ryan. I really appreciate like you just kind of opening up about it. As you guys know, we're Chris, Ryan, and I mean, aka conventioNOT. You know where to find us. conventioNOT _podcast. Thanks for joining us today. It's just the three of us, but as you know, we like to have these kind of conversations. Getting a little open, a little honest, and maybe heaven forbid, a little vulnerable on some stuff we all go through, but don't always talk about it. So, thank you everybody for your time, and Chris, as always. Looking good, brother. Ryan, Shine's back.
Thanks, man.
Good to see you back in the new Ferndale studio. We're going to get some Ferndale guests on there soon. I know it. Michigan's about to get the glow up. Midwest love.
I'm building a real studio this time around, so we'll have some people in. So.
All right, boys.
All right. Take care.
We're good.
Peace.
See ya.